All right. Good day. I keep forgetting. I'm probably going to forget forever that that's what I'm going to be saying. It's afternoon now, but I don't know when we're going to be watching this. So, second lesson. This one will be much shorter than the first, thankfully. So, just a quick review of set builder versus interval notation. So, often when we're using set builder, we're actually not writing this entire thing. The way that we read this, the bar means such that. So again, another place where we can make a note on the notes, draw a little arrow and write such that, yeah? Also, as I've mentioned before, mathematicians are lazy. So in proofs, when you get into higher math, instead of writing out the words such that, the abbreviation for that is ST. It's understood among mathematicians that ST means such that. That's what the bar means. So usually we just write x is greater than 0. This is just saying x such that x is greater than 0, or x such that x is between 0 and 20, including 0. So hopefully we can remember some interval notation. I would encourage you to pause me right now and see if you can remember how to write those. I'm not going to create a question on that though. So pause me for a second. Okay, so for the first one, we want all values of x greater than 0. Oftentimes, just like last time, I find it helpful to draw a number line. So I want to go 0, yeah? And normally, like in Algebra 1, we make an open dot for not equal. And then we want to go greater than, so we want to go to the right. Now, in Algebra 2 and Pre-Calc and moving forward, we don't do an open dot, we do a parenthesis to indicate that we're not including it, and we go greater than, so to the right. So the parenthesis means we're not including the 0, and we're starting at 0, we're going to positive infinity, so that's the interval notation, okay? The number line is not necessary, it's just a visual for people who are visual learners. The second one, we want to go from 0 to 20. So in Algebra 1, when we have the equal sign, we fill in to include that 0, and then the 20 has an open dot, so we're not including the 20. And this is saying all values bigger than 0 but smaller than 20, so that's in between. And just like we did up here, the open is a parenthesis. The closed, you'll remember, is a bracket, and we want all the values in between. So we're going to go bracket to indicate that we're using the 0, comma, parenthesis to indicate we're not including the 20, and this indicates everything in between 0 and 20. Okay? All right, so first example, I think I'm going to have to flip this upside down. So if you need this still, pause me because I'm going to move it. Okay. We're going to look at a graph in the book, and we're going to answer some questions about it. So I am on page 76. If you need to refer back to this, we're looking at question number 10. So let me slide this over, actually. I have to cover this up because it's got the answers. So if you need to see what these questions are asking, refer back to the book because we're not going to write down. I don't want you to have to write down what all these questions are. Okay, so the first question is find f of 0 and f of 6. Okay. Hopefully you guys can do that on your own. So this is saying if x is equal to 0, then what is y? Well, looking at x equals 0, the y value is also 0. This is saying if x is equal to 6, right? Because it's f of x is the same as y. F of x is the same as y. So I go to x equals 6, so 6 on the x-axis, and I look for the y value. It is 0. Okay, first one's easy. B, I'm going to probably do we're not going to do all the parts because B just asks for f of 2 and f of negative 2. I don't think we need to do more of those. I think you guys are going to be good with that. So C is f of 3 positive or negative? F of 3. So that's saying if x equals 3, so go over to 3. 3 is between 2 and 4, right? We know that. and then find the y value that corresponds. Is that y value positive or negative? Well, it's negative. Yeah? Okay, D is a similar question, so we're going to skip that. E, for what values of x is f of x equal to 0? Okay, so this is asking for x values when y is 0. F of x is the same as y, yeah? Y equals 0 on the x-axis. Are we sure about that? Y equals 0 on the x-axis. So if I go along the x-axis, I can find, or you can just scan the ordered pairs as well. That doesn't have a y value of 0. That doesn't have a y value of 0. That does have a y value of 0. And its corresponding x value is 0. None of these have a y value of 0, but this one does have a y value of 0. Its corresponding x value is 4. None of these have a y value of 0, but this one does, and its x value is 6. So far, so good. Okay, let's see if I can squeeze F in, and then I'll slide the paper over. F says for what values of x is f of x less than 0? So this is y is less than 0. It's asking for x values. Well, if you look at the graph, you'll see that y is less than 0 for all of these x values down here. It's below the x-axis, yeah? Below the x-axis. Negative y values are below the x-axis. How do I list off all of these? I would have to go like 0.1 and 0.2 and 0.3 and 0.4. Oh, wait a minute. If you say 0.1, I'm going to say 0.11. And then you're going to say 0.111. And then I'm going to say 0.11111. And we're never even going to get past that, right? There's no way to list all of the 0.1s, let alone all of the values. So this is where we need interval notation, okay? I'm going to slide this up a little bit. So we want to include all of these x values. So we want to start at 0. Yeah, x equals 0, and we want to end at 4, x equals 4, okay? We're going to use interval notation. That's what I'm starting right here in this bottom corner that you can't see very well. Now, I'm going to include everything between 0 and 4. The question is, do I want to include 0 and 4? Well, the question is asking when is y less than 0? The question is not asking when is y less than or equal to 0. At x equals 4, y is not less than 0. It is equal to 0. So I don't want to include either of those. This doesn't have an equal bar, so I can't include the 2 points on the ends where y does equal 0. Okay? All right. I'm not going to slide it over that far. G, let's see. Give me a second. Okay. What is the domain of f? Oh, this is what everybody loves. I hated domain and range when I was in high school. Oh my goodness. Okay. So domain. You want to know domain. We all know domain is the x values. Use your hands or paper or whatever to, uh-oh, I only have 5%, to close off the graph. Where is your left hand? It's at -4. Where is your right hand? It's at +6. Are there closed dots? Yes. So the domain is from -4 to +6. Brackets because it is, brackets because we're including those. The range, I want to close off the graph from top to bottom and look at where I am on the y-axis. The low point is at y equals -2. The high point is at y equals 3. I want to go from lowest to highest. So the range goes from -2 to 3. Make sure you're looking at the y values because it's range. And brackets again because there's closed in dots there. Okay, I'm going to skip I and j because I think you guys can write x and y intercepts on your own. I'm actually going to skip K and L as well. I think you guys can do those on your own. You probably could do this whole problem on your own, to be honest, but All right, so M, I'm going to give you a question on this because I think you can do it on your own. For what value of x does f of x equal 3? I'm going to write that. So pause me right now and write this down, because as soon as you hit play, it's going to pop up the question and you're not going to be able to see I don't believe you're going to be able to see the graph anymore. So I'm going to give you a second when I stop talking. So write this down, find your answer. Sorry, pause me when I stop talking. Pause me. Write this down, figure out your answer, then click play, and the question is going to pop up. So I'm going to give you like 5 seconds from the time I stop talking. Okay, so, and that's it. That's your notes. That's all for now. And I hope you guys are having a good day. Well, I mean, I'm going to see you guys in a little bit to kind of go over these questions. So ignore that number there for me. That's for my own little notes. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit. I hope this is an easy assignment. I hope this was easy notes. Wasn't quite as short as I expected it to be, but it was still under 15 minutes. Last time was like 20. So my intention is for them to be 15 minutes or less every time if I can make that happen. Okie dokie. 2.2.